Cleveland Browns 39. Indianapolis Colts 38. The Browns move to 4-2. Colts fall to 3-4. One of the craziest games of the weekend. A mighty roar from the sound booth by Tyler. He's geared up. He's got his Browns gear, and he is ready to go. He is ready to roll with P.J. Walker for the rest of the season. And, P.J. Walker leads the fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah. P.J.
Didn't he?
And the officials.
Oh, let's get into some officiating.
Now, you were trying to claim before we went live that the uncatchable pass was not that uncatchable.
I saw one view where it didn't look as bad.
I would put it to you that uncatchable pass was incredibly uncatchable, even had you been the receiver in the back of the end zone. In fact, even had the receiver in the back of the end zone been Victor Wembanyama, I would say it was significantly uncatchable. It landed basically at the stand. It was wildly uncatchable, and yet the officials are just like, nah, whatever. It's pass interference.
It probably was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I do believe on those plays, though, where a guy is unable to jump, you do get a little skewed view sometimes. It always looks like those plays along the sideline.
They seem to have forgotten the uncatchable portion of
they really have
defensive pass interference this season. I don't know if that's like a deliberate, focus on officiating, whether they've specifically said, hey, don't worry about the uncatchable thing, penalize the illegal contact. But there have been some plays this year where the ball has been not even close to being catchable, and they've still thrown a flag and called it pass interference.
See, I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah, no, it is, though.
Because you only saw it sail over his head when he was crumbling due to the contact.
No, I saw where the ball went, and I also saw where the end zone was, and I decided that
it's tough perspective,
because
if is that Peoples-Jones? Yeah. If Peoples-Jones, who's 6'3", is standing up, it's an overthrow. But he might be able to get fingertips to the ball if he jumps straight up. I'm just saying.
Stop it.
It's kind of a weak call, though. Weak call. So back-to-back penalties. I don't even know where to start in this game. There was a lot of crazy plays. From just a scoring perspective, Jerome Ford kicks it off with a 69-yard touchdown run, big gap, takes it to the house. The second touchdown, Gardner Minshew hits Josh Downs for a 59-yarder. It was a blown coverage by Cleveland.
So Myles Garrett, who had one of the most insane games ever, also jumped offside twice. And on both plays, it was like a massive bust by the Browns defense.
Yeah.
This one was the first one that was worse.
Playing.
Everybody stopped playing.
Yeah.
It's he jumped. So everyone just stopped playing. And the Colts were like, but this is a free play. Thanks. And just hit Josh Downs' touchdown.
That's why Gardner Minshew's stat line is nuts.
But for all the good that Myles Garrett did, those two jumping offside penalties were massive problems for the Browns.
Even though last week wasn't necessarily a jumping offsides penalty, the Downs play for 59 yards was reminiscent of the play that we broke down on the Explain the Grade, where Christian McCaffrey was running wide open for a potential 55-yarder. And I just want to make the point that sometimes on a week-to-week basis, if the QB misses the throw, it feels like good defense. If he hits the open throw, it feels like bad defense. And there were some of those plays for the Browns. I don't think the Browns' defense actually played that poorly. It was just the plays that they had, like Michael Pittman's 75-yarder. Sometimes it's just two players, right? It's like the corner misses a tackle, the safety's out of position, and it's a 75-yarder. It's not horrible team defense by every single player. But that was a big play as well. 75-yarder from Michael Pittman when the Browns are up 2 in the fourth quarter. You have the Colts leading 21-17 just a little bit before the half and trying to run the clock out and maybe punt and just get into the half with a lead, and instead Myles Garrett with a strip sack in the end zone that leads to a touchdown. So as I mentioned, Gardner Minshew's stat line looks ridiculous because he had 15 completions for 305 yards. So he was 15 of 23 for 305. That's 13.3 yards per attempt, in part because you have those coverage busts or Michael Pittman running through the defense for 75. But Minshew also, for the second straight week, was it 2 weeks ago against the Jags? I mean, he just put the ball in harm's way a ton, including a bunch of fumbles.
Yeah, it was a weird game by Minshew. And they were using, like, the touchdown run, his first one. That's like an Anthony Richardson play that you assume was no longer in the playbook. And they're like, no, let's run it with Minshew. What's the worst that could happen? And it's like, it's an actual option in the true sense of pass and run, right? Like it's a sort of read option look or fake run up the middle, and then Minshew runs out to the side, keeps the ball, runs out to the side. There's a route combination going. Like there's a pass option there. Everybody's looking for the ball, and then he just like jukes Grant Delpit, was it, out of his shoes and starts running it, and he's still got like 15, 20 yards to go, and takes it in. It's like this is a play that Minshew's not supposed to be running anymore, let alone actually having success with it.
Someone in the chat says those plays are on Garrett. Well, yeah, I mean, we're going, then they should show up in his PFF grade. Well, offsides will show up in his PFF grade. We're not going to give. I mean, that's
he doesn't get charged for a touchdown because everybody else stopped playing.
That's part of the. I mean, the guy that we always compare Myles Garrett to, T.J. Watt, also had an extremely costly offside penalty yesterday that prolonged a Rams play. But it's just, again, I think we're not getting into explaining the grade stuff. It's just one play, right? You give a downgrade for the offside thing. It's not Myles Garrett's fault necessarily that coverage stopped playing or that it was a 75-yarder or whatever it may have been on those plays. You don't get deducted more because, the result of the play. It's just you get a downgrade for jumping off sides.
Yeah, I will say Garrett does tend to jump offside quite a lot.
Yeah.
But
that's the balance with.
But he was ridiculous in this game, like absolutely absurd. He had the kind of, like we've had this argument for years, the difference between T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett. And generally speaking, the difference is Myles Garrett wins more on a down-to-down basis, but T.J. Watt's plays are more impactful, right? The strip sacks, the interceptions like he had yesterday. And Garrett doesn't tend to have those types of games. And, some of that is the fact that he just doesn't have the help around him and the ball is out quick and blah, blah, blah. But whatever, like he doesn't tend to have them. But he had one yesterday. Like he absolutely took over that game. He had several plays that completely changed the complexion of the game, including jumping clean over the line and blocking a kick. Like he had a T.J. Watt type of game where all of his big plays were massively impactful, including the mistakes, like the offside ones.
He wrecked poor Blake Freeland. I always refer to him as poor Blake Freeland.
Certainly when you're blocking Myles Garrett.
Because Freeland's just not ready to pass block in the NFL, as we keep saying, and he completely whiffed on him. Garrett absolutely had those big plays. I mean, the one other point I just want to make here, again, I don't think play for play. This is what's weird about football, Sam. I don't think play for play, the Browns defense was way worse than last week against the 49ers. But think about all the different conditions. When the Browns made a mistake, the Colts hit the throw or they made the catch. Or it was just one or two players made a mistake on a play and that leads to a huge gain. Or sometimes you're just in a dome and not in the rain. And that helps you make the throw. I think sometimes when you watch film and you're not looking to just justify the result, right? You don't just say, well, this team shut down the 49ers, therefore it must have been the best defense. You watch film, sometimes you see opportunities, sometimes you see a little bit of luck, sometimes you see those things, and oftentimes they get exposed. And I thought in a few plays, some of the plays that the Browns got lucky on last week, they got less lucky on this week. Now, at the end of the day, Browns end up winning the game for various reasons. Let's go to their side of the ball offensively. Deshaun Watson last 5 dropbacks, throws a bad pick on the run, gets hit pretty hard. I mean, he looked really hurt. He gets tested for concussion, passes concussion protocol, we find out later.
Yeah, everybody assumed that he went out of the game because the shoulder got re-injured, right? He got hit hard, went out. They didn't rush him back, but he's back. It was a shoulder injury. Shoulder injury's re-aggravated. But apparently, he was being tested for concussion, passed the test, and still didn't come back into the game.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, in addition to the weird he's been medically cleared but not playing for a while.
I'm assuming he doesn't feel great with his shoulder. I'm assuming that's a big part of it. P.J. Walker, once again, did not play great, but the cover 2 shot that he hit on the comeback attempt under pressure, hits an absolute laser to Elijah Moore. I mean, P.J. Walker remains an enigma on a play-by-play basis, trying to figure out what he's going to do. But he also pulls out. Remember last year he had, was it the Hail Mary? But it was more like just a bomb behind the defense. I mean, he's got some of the best one-off throws we've seen in the NFL the last couple of years. P.J. Walker with a great cover 2 shot. Tyler wants him to be the starter for the rest of the season. Have P.J. Walker running the show here for the Browns.
It's funny because, a game like yesterday, you got some of the Browns accounts on Twitter, and they're like, here's how quickly they can get out from the Deshaun Watson contract. You're like, oh, God. Like, that's maybe the worst single move in NFL history if they have to get away from it at any point. Like, that's just an absolute and total catastrophe.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's at that level yet. But it's a combination of when he's been on the field, Watson, it hasn't been good. And now you've got this, shoulder injury where he can't get on the field. I have to look it up. I don't think I've ever seen a game like this, 39-38, where the quarterback grades are so poor. Because Minshew's got 5 turnover-worthy plays. And like I said, hitting like a 15-yard dig to Michael Pittman is fine. But that usually ends up as a 15 to 20-yard gain, not a 75-yarder, right? Hitting a wide-open Josh Downs for 58 yards. Those are inflating the stats for Minshew. And again, Walker on the other side, 1 big-time throw, a couple turnover-worthy plays. Don't see this very often.
No.